Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. We came so close to the precipice of a risk-off scenario where if the herd go positive on an average level across the course of a week, it could be quite bearish. We don't want the dumb money to be buying. They need to be selling indices, and they have been. We saw over the last 24 hours they have sold indices. Technical scores have improved a lot, and it's based on all these instruments down there. So, the VIX got really crushed on Friday, which is quite, wow, it's like nearly 10% move. Individual companies did quite well, and you got your Nikkei 225 did quite well as well. So I think that's setting the precedent for a risk-on day today. In the Japanese stock market did very well, so it's possibly Europe's going to follow, and the US will follow Europe. So let's look at QDB scores. And got cross yen up here, which kind of makes sense if we're risk on, and we've got CAD Swiss, Euro Swiss, and Pound Kiwi. We've also got gold on the QDB scores, but it will always have a low score because we can't have many measurements because we just don't have that data. But we got the volume data, and we've got the sentiment shift in, so that's fairly useful. But we just haven't got the live price data. We can't source that from Google Finance because they don't have they don't have a symbol for gold. They've got the gold futures, but that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in the spot price, so we can't import the gold price. Okay, so just so you know. Let's look at your indices, and here's DAX. I was just saying in Discord how unbelievably choppy that sentiment is. It's like it's almost like it's serrated like a saw, where you should be seeing nice moves, like gentle waves. This is very erratic, so you've got to be careful. They had sold it, so we can create a box down here, and likewise they'd sold US indices as well. Oh god, I don't know if that's did not. Let's click this. So we see we have a retest normally within the box, and then we have that retest and bounce scenario. So bullish above that level, but we have got a bit of congestion overhead. 15,892, 15,819. We'll go to US 30. And so we could make a buy here. This is very crazy price action after that Powell speech. Rectangle. Yeah, it's here, isn't it? It's very bonkers. So they'd sold it, got initially paid, just initially paid on that move, and then they'd sold it again. They sold it here. So I assume we had a very heavy session. And then they thought, well, okay, looks like a good place to sell. We're looking quite bearish. We've broken that low, and then they sold it, and that's that move here. See, and up we come. So they probably looked at that break and thought, well, technically, we're probably a sell. That price action looks really ugly, and they could say that Powell was hawkish as well. So that probably added to that them selling too. So what's happened is that they'd sold it, and price basically could have gone up. We might get a crossover here, so we've got to be careful. But we haven't got the crossover yet. S&P, and less erratic than DAX. See, this is like quite smooth compared to DAX. DAX is like it's quite aggressive. A little bit sideways, but we've made the box. Yeah, we've got this big old box here. Rectangle. We have to draw it on this one. So we should be above this because they've sold it. Alright, so this is it's just biding its time probably for the hour, for the new hour. Okay, so we should be above this level because they've sold it here, right? So hopefully that makes sense. We did try and get above. You can see that little wick, but we're just basically just biding the time, accumulating for the next move higher. And we've obviously got a resistance up here at 4457, 4465, and then gold. So we had that big break, and we've come up quite a bit since. And looks like we made the buy here, so we can draw a box here. rectangle. It's going to be here, isn't it? So we should be above this box, but unfortunately what's happened is that they went long here, so that's therefore created a supply. So we've got a demand and a supply in the same vicinity. So I was saying in Discord to wait for 1923 to break, and then it's going to be a lot easier to trade. At the moment you could get a bit squished in between those two zones. And quickly about the robot. Now the thing is, the robot, we've got some risk off trades from Friday, and it makes sense that would do well on these particular trades if we go risk off, but it looks like we're going to have a risk on day today. The technical scores had improved, and the dumb money had sold, and because of that we're probably going to be a bit risk on. And I think because of that change in risk appetite since Friday, it's possible that our robot's going to have a bit of a loss today. We've got fairly decent risk management in place, but it might just mean that we're going to have quite a lot of losses, because these are based on risk off, on a risk off mood that we had on Friday. And now things have obviously flipped since, so it looks like Kiwi CAD's going to result in a loss. So it's not going to be too bad. It's going to be like 20 pip loss. So it's not too bad, but it just goes to show that things do flip very suddenly. And the flip of a coin, i.e. the Powell speech, was interpreted as hawkish, but perhaps if Main Street, like the herd, if they interpret it as being hawkish, the big money are going to go, well, okay, they're thinking that, we're going to trade against them, and then we could be risk on. So we've got a big flip on risk appetite since Friday. Because of that, our robot might undergo a little bit of loss, and it is what it is. There's no way that we can predict the future. We can't certainly predict a Powell speech and how it's interpreted, and whether or not the big fish are going to fade that interpretation. So it's very, very complex, and so we definitely need to have decent risk management on our trades. And it just looks like we're going to have a flip in risk sentiment today. However, if we go by risk off by New York, then these will do okay, but by New York we would have got stopped out. So it is what it is. We need to be patient, and if we're going to be risk on, that's fine. If we're risk off, the robot would probably appreciate that, but what can you do? It's out of our hands. The only thing that we've got control over is our risk management and our stop losses, and that's it. So I'll probably report back tomorrow with the robot, and it'll probably undergo a little bit of loss today, but we'll have to wait and see. So remember to trade safely, and I'll speak to you guys soon.